To Business Today. I'm Jerome Paul Sonko. This is Smart 24 TV. But first, a look at our top stories. Good evening once more. Let's first have a look at our top stories. All right, now away from that, let's start off with the very fast as the ministry with the Memorandum of Understanding between Uganda and Korea. Uganda and the Korea Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises have signed a Memorandum of Understanding aimed at curbing the unemployment gap and empowering the young innovators in Uganda. His Excellency Hakdon Kim signed on behalf of the Korean Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises, and Dr. Hatwib Mugasha signed on behalf of Uganda. The program is targeting a total of 1,000 youth all over Uganda, and they are looking forward to invest $50,000 on refundable, which is non-refundable, to different businesses that need startups. Monica Nabiunga has the details.
Targeting to work with 1,000 young people. So already we have invested $1 million in the project in terms of getting equipment that the young people are going to need in their project. But we are also looking at investing between $5,000 to $50,000 in the businesses that are brought into the YSA program. So it will mainly be based on the need of the startup. How much money do you need to build a minimum viable product or to prototype whatever it is that you're building for your business? So we are looking forward to putting such investments into the business initially. We are looking at early stage businesses, so you have an idea, you've been working at it for at least 6 months, you're welcome into the program. Even if you haven't made money yet from the program, you will be welcome to it. And we're also looking for people who have already made money in the program, maybe $30,000, $45,000. And we are looking now for those ones, we'll be providing specific bespoke or customized support, so that wherever we find you as a business, that is where our support will start to come to you and be able to give you what your business needs. If it's investment, then we'll help you with investment and getting ready for that, and then directly connecting you to those investors who we have curated and are interested in investing in you, so that we see they give you money.
Away from that, let's move on to the next one, which is adding value to gain more from cassava. Cassava has been fronted towards boosting baking industries in Uganda amidst high prices of imported wheat, from Ukraine and Russia. Residents say it's okay for Ugandans to substitute wheat with locally available cassava flour for the production of bread at affordable prices. How about that for this story?
White wheat and bread that is common on the Ugandan market is inferior to cassava. Stakeholders believe that Ugandans can bake high-grade cakes, biscuits, bread and other confectionery from natural and organic cassava and not only from imported wheat.
I know that we are importing quite a lot from Russia. Right now is we are the leading consumers of Russian wheat currently. We can use our own products like millet, sorghum, rice, cassava to blend flours to produce better products that taste better, that are more healthy and yet affordable.
The Uganda baking industry has of recent raised prices of bread in tandem to an increased global price of wheat, a major raw material of bread. Currently, bread that was at 3,500 is now at 4,000. One that was at 4,500 is now at 5,200.
We can, based on cassava flour, to produce 100% gluten-free bread, gluten-free cookies, gluten-free chapati. We can produce a wide range of confectionery products through cassava alone without importing of wheat.
So the advantage that we have with the war in Ukraine or between Ukraine and Russia is that, most of the opportunities come during challenging times. And we in Uganda, we need to now concentrate on that. We need to see how can we take advantage. We need to see how can we take advantage of this. We have pumpkin, we have rice, we have cassava, we have millet, we have all these products that we can blend to produce a wheat-like that is more tastier, that is more healthy, that is more and cheaper.
All these initiatives have come at a time when the current prices of wheat has also gone high from 5,500 to between 7,000 to 7,500 Uganda shillings. This therefore makes cassava flour the best option for managing high prices of bread.
In fact, one of the questions being asked today was, but cassava can only be planted during the rains, and that the cassava of these days rots if you don't harvest it. We, the farmers, may be illiterate, but we can plant. That is one. Two, cassava is such a hardy crop. It does not, that's why we don't grow it in Ntobazi, in wetlands. So, if the buyers are ready to buy, leave us the producers. We shall produce and you get your cassava.
According to available food science evidence, cassava is richer in vitamin C at 20% and 6% in carbohydrate fats, copper at 12%, potassium at 6% and magnesium at 5% than bread that Ugandans appear to hype most, which has more of carbohydrates. Pedson Mumbere, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
Cassava, a substitute for wheat flour, I would say. Moving on, we head to Kamuli district. With the surging prices of commodities, Kamuli vendors have asked the government to intervene, especially in the prices of essential commodities like tomatoes. They expressed their dissatisfaction with the increase of everything from school fees to their children and to taxes. They also asked the government to improve the transport network in upcountry in order to reduce the final consumer costs. We have more of this report.
The chairperson of tomato vendors in Kamuli Central Market, Lido Simon, noted that tomato prices are determined by the farmers, transporters and vendors. He also asked vendors to persist in their business, claiming that there is always a light at the end of the tunnel. He further asked the government of Uganda to lower taxes on essential commodities.
ntogenda kyalina akakiiko akake niife otutunda tulina akaife buli bwe tutyama tutyo okusinziira ku mbeera eno bweri itambula tutunda ekiro diti era twatona twatambulira awo ayi kyamukisa mulungi eyo ife eno batuwuliriza bwetuba tukobya ebbeeyi eyo era banaife batambulira awo batyo mbeganira mbakoba tusigale nga tukalemeraku kuba obugumiikiriza n'obutuufu mu nsi muno. Emigendo gino giri kuniina era gidamala giike ng'embeera etuleiremu nga bwe tuli kusaba tuti gavumenti bebegemyeku mu misolo nga luutu eno bwe yakoze bajeti emisolo tiyatere mu myaka buti emikeere gye tuli kusaba ekendeezeewo okusi kya mitwalo 6 ng'ekyo kyokubona ekyo mitwalo 6 ebaafu mu nnimiro bwe gitunda emitwalo 9 ku 8 ife eno twatunda 10.
Kauma Andrew, a transporter who buys tomatoes from a farmer at 600,000 shillings a box and transports it from the farm to Kamuli Central Market, sells it at 650,000 shillings. Kauma told us that he gets tomatoes at a high cost from the supplier, yet the consumers want cheap tomatoes, so they decided as vendors to sell tomatoes at 670,000 shillings so that they get some profits.
Kwenda bei enana, kwenda mitwalo 6 kumusiri. Twaenda ipo tufise kwe mitwalo 5 kumusamvu. Tegeza nti watu tuna mitwalo 6 na musamvu kukatali. Aye kaya abali tuli kuzula nga bali kwenda ebintu bya layisi kulwebibula eri sente sebo. Bwe tuba tukuza emitwalo 6 ku musiri etutakwa amafuta bwe ganinnya okutuukaano tuba tuwenda mitwalo 6 na musamvu. Kitegeeza nti ebaafu enamba eba egira emitwalo 5 kitundu endala ebaafu 2 giba mitwalo 10 naye eba tayiga sebo. Ekiro eba erimu 3 enana. Ekiro 10 kitegeeza nti giba mitwalo 3. Ekiro 2 giba mitwalo 6 sebo. Mubaleja abenda ku kiro 5 kiro imeka. Ole bwavera ndikwenda kiro 2 eba baafu sebo tumutola mu esente. Mfeche mitwalo 6 tumukobe 5 kitundu. Then aje atetenkanya yafuna akawogo.
Zizinga Ali, the defense of Kamuli Central Market, in the interview explained that everything is costly, including traffic officers on the way, taxes, and so on. Zizinga asked the government of Uganda to stop wasting a lot of money.
All right, moving on, access to and the utilization of health services has significantly increased with the population. According to the National Development Plan 3 of 2021-2023 to 2025, a 5-year plan geared towards improving the welfare of the economic status of the country with better health shows how good health is very vital to the economic status of a country. Stanbic Bank, together with Chirudu Hospital, have hosted a stakeholder meeting and medical expo as a way of giving back to the community, themed Strengthening the Fight Against Non-Communicable Diseases. Naomi Mutumba reports.
Where we called in all our key stakeholders to give us a feedback on how we've performed during that year. Areas where we think we have improved and areas where we need to put emphasis on improvement, where we think we have fallen short of the expectations. Briefly, Chirudu National Referral Hospital has been in existence for about 5 years.
Uganda remains committed to the pursuit of socio-economic transformation as envisioned in the country's long-term aspirations. The NDP3 goal is increased household incomes and improved quality of life. This goal is to be achieved under the overall theme of sustainable industrialization for inclusive growth, employment, and sustainable wealth creation. This is in line with Uganda's Vision 20. Chirudu Referral Hospital is one of the hospitals established to meet the goal of the NDP3. It was open to the public on the 16th of May 2016, and since then, there has been growth of different businesses within the community as well as provision of proper health services to the community.
The activities, Chirudu used to be a suburb which has very small shops, but now we have the capacity of more than 500 people who are running business around here. The residential has also lifted for the doctors who have come in the area. They are renting the apartments, so they are also on the income side. Also, the members of the village have also benefited from it. And the only challenge we have so far right now is Salama Road, which is hindering so many people, the doctors and the patients, some of them, they collapse on the way they bring them to the hospital.
It has also changed the entire situation on Salama Road, which I'm sure is very evident. That, the economic situation of the people around, because like a day like today is diabetes clinic. If you went on the outpatient for diabetes, today we shall be receiving more than 300 patients coming on outpatient just for the diabetes clinic today. So what has happened? These people, when they come here, they will eat food, so the restaurants around will get money. The transport sector that is transporting them here is also getting money. So it's definitely impacted a lot on the communities because housing around here has boomed. The housing sector here around the hospital has definitely tremendously boomed.
Some of the stakeholders included Ministry of Health, Stanbic Bank, among others, and with these, the Medical Camp Expo was open to the community at no cost.
Others have assisted us continuously in these endeavors. Some of the key stakeholders are national medical stores. Stanbic Bank has been a very crucial player in assisting us in reaching out to our people. And they have supported us in very many other activities that we've asked them to. The Ministry of Health has been very supportive. Government of Uganda definitely is very, very crucial in this.
Naomi Mutumba, Business Today, Smart 24, driving business.
Naomi Mutumba. All right, now, the banking sector in Uganda has been growing in heaps and bounds for the last, years. This time around, we're joining Fred Makubia in the coffee court, and he is with the director IUIU. We want to understand more about Islamic banking. Good evening, Fred, and thank you for joining us.
Jerome Solunko, thank you very much and welcome to the Coffee Court, where we digest matters of national economy. And of course, this time around, we'll be digesting the performance of the Islamic banking in Uganda. And I'm joined by the director in charge of Kampala campus, Kampala International University campus, Dr. Twaha Ahmed. Doctor, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, and good evening, our viewers.
Good evening. First and foremost, what is Islamic banking?
Well, Islamic banking is a system of banking which follows the Islamic principles in a very simple way. And these Islamic principles, definitely for the religion of Islam, they are derived from Sharia. That is why sometimes you will hear it is called Sharia compliant banking or Islamic banking, or some other people even call it other names. Like in Turkey, they actually don't use the name Islamic, they call it participatory banking. So it is really a comprehensive method of banking which is following in a very strict manner the principles that are guided from Islam.
Okay. So how is this different from the other banking sectors in Uganda?
Yeah, the other system of banking, we usually call it conventional, system of banking. The most dominant actually is the system of banking which is following the Western economic framework.
Okay.
And that Western economic framework basically has coined banking to revolve fundamentally around the concept of interest rates.
Okay.
If you don't have interest rates, you don't have conventional banking, because you go to the bank, as we all know it today, you give them a collateral security and tell them, give me 20 million shillings. They give it to you at a rate of interest, which is being called here cost of capital, or that is the gain to the owners of that particular capital. Then you go and do whatever you are doing, you pay back the principal and the interest. That's the conventional way of banking.
Okay.
Islamic banking goes exactly against that, because interest rate, which is technically called riba in Islam, is prohibited. So if you want to now produce or to introduce a method of banking which does not use interest rate, then you have got to bring the alternative method of how money will be made by the banking sector, but also how the customers will be able to access without paying interest rates. So the Islamic banking system does exactly that. It is the real opposite of what the convention is doing.
So how do you survive as a bank if you never charge any interest rates? How do you survive as a bank?
This is how it goes. The Islamic banking system recognizes that the banks are business entities. They are really not charities, all right?
It's a business entity.
Therefore, by being business, the Islamic model includes the bank into the business practice. In other words, let me start from the conventional, maybe to make a difference clear. In the conventional system, all right, the bank doesn't participate in the business. If you are an investor, you simply come, give them collateral, they give you money, you go to the business, all right? You want to build, you want to import, you want to do whatever else, you want to go into agriculture, they don't care as a conventional system, all right? So they give you money, you bring back money with interest. Now, the Islamic system says, no, we are going actually to do business together, all right? So the bank is part and parcel of the business. It is not actually something that is sitting at the edge and leaving you to go and tussle it out on your own. So the Islamic banking model introduces different modes of financing in which you and the bank are partners, or you and the bank are participating in some kind of trade together.
Someone is still asking, because you said a bank exists to make business.
Exactly.
So you're saying Islamic banking is not a profit-making business. It doesn't charge.
It is actually profit-making.
So how do you make profits without?
Okay, so we now all know how trade is done, all right? How do you do trade? For example, if I wanted to go to China and buy merchandise, all right? I will go and buy at whatever cost, transfer it to Uganda, and then put on this particular cost additional monies. For example, I'll add the transport cost, I'll add the taxes, and I'll put a markup. So if I bought a dress at 30,000, I'll come to Uganda and sell it at 70 or 50, if that is what makes sense for me. That is how to do business. So the Islamic bank will exactly do that. It will ask you, what do you want to do? I want to go and trade. So you buy things at a given cost, and then it is known these things are going to be sold at this particular cost. So the Islamic bank participating with you in that particular trading activity will put a markup, but in real trade, not on money. So the difference here is that the conventional bank simply puts a markup on money, but the Islamic bank will put a markup on a real trade activity. Because you see in the Quran, this is actually maybe the genesis of things. The Quran, in the verse where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prohibited interest rates, he says interest rate or riba, which we call riba in the Islamic terminology, is prohibited, but trade is allowed. That means if you really want to be able to participate in the financial sector, you are going to come with a trading model.
So is this a religious banking system, if I may put it that way?
Not necessarily.
Or it attracts whether you're a Muslim?
It is open to everybody. But it has to comply with that particular principle. That's exactly why we are saying that it is a banking system which complies with Islamic principles.
You've put it right in your preamble that it has attracted a number of investors. Talk to us how this banking system is able to attract investors without the interest rates.
Yeah, let me tell you, Fred, you know it. Today, the traders, you have had them many, many times, all right? Literally crying because of interest rates. The interest rates are choking businesses. Why? Because the bank doesn't care about how you are performing in the real business world. They simply tell you, okay, you come, you have 100 million, take it, bring back 135 million. And with very, very stringent, time limits. Every time the time increases, they increase the interest rates. So eventually people get a lot of problems with interest rates. Now, the Islamic banking system is welcome to everybody because it does not put you under the pressure of interest rates. It is profit and loss sharing to the best of the interest of every investor. If we go into an investment project together, we make money, we share. We make loss, we share the loss. Now, what is the best deal more than that? If you are an investor, what better deal would you go for? Do you like the person who is going to tell you, I don't care?
I would want a bank that gives me interest if I was an investor.
Why would you like to take interest rate?
Because this is business.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about the bank giving you money as an investor. The bank which asks you, we don't care what you have got from the field. All we need is give us back our principal and interest rates. And then you have got another one who says, no, come, I'm going to give you financing. If we make profit, we both share the profit. If we make loss, it is a loss to both of us. Who gives you a better deal?
So both partners carry money. I am now prompted to ask, to what extent has this succeeded? Is it a successful banking system? Or it
is a success story around the world.
At what extent?
It is really a success story because if you go to the countries of the Arab world, they are basically transforming their banking system into the Islamic. If you go to countries like Southeast Asia, countries of Malaysia, Indonesia, and all those countries in the region, they have already moved more than 30% Islamic. If you come to other international business centers, even in the Western world, in the US, in UK, they are already opened up to Islamic banking, and big-time projects are being funded by Islamic banking system. So, to take you back to the question where you asked, is this a religious banking system? No, because it can be used by everybody. Religious people and non-religious people, they can all use it. What is required is compliance, not faith.
The examples you're giving seem to be emanating from Islamic countries. I have not heard you talk about a country which is not Islamic in nature.
I have talked about UK. UK is not a Muslim country, even if you go to the US. And many other countries in Europe, they have actually started using and accepting Islamic banking. In some of them, they are even teaching it in universities, all right? You go to the United Kingdom, they are already giving accredited qualifications in Islamic bank and finance coming from the United Kingdom.
Is that justifiable enough to show that it has worked?
The point is, it is not that it has worked 100% because the entire world has not converted to Islamic banking. Maybe it doesn't have to convert. It will just be working as a side opportunity, as a side alternative. There are so many things that work side by side. You understand? You can have this or that, depending, because you see the world requires alternatives. You cannot say we are going to stick ourselves to one particular thing, all right? In politics, people want alternatives. That's why they have got multi-parties. You either go into this one, you go to the other one, the one which best represents your aspirations. So there are people who are saying, for us, we want the Islamic model. And they go for the Islamic model. There are others who say, we want the conventional model. So make the alternatives open for everybody, and then life goes on.
So let's now measure the success now back to Uganda. The examples you've given are beyond Uganda. Yes. So let's now measure the success of the Islamic banking here in your country, in my country, in our country.
Yeah, in our country, I think we are still marching towards the system. Because what happened quite a number of years that have passed is that there were legal reforms which needed to be done. Because within the law of financial institutions in Uganda, there were some prohibitions which would not make it possible to operationalize Islamic banking in Uganda. For example, one of them which is very, very easy to understand is this. In the conventional system, a bank is not allowed to own assets. All right?
In the conventional system?
Yes, you are not allowed. A bank cannot say, we are buying and accumulating assets on beaches, in the real estate, and so on and so forth. The bank is supposed to concentrate on its core business. So that is how the law was. Now, if you want to be able to operationalize Islamic banking, the Islamic bank will own assets, because if I am entering into business with you, it means I am going to actually be an owner of assets. Now, you had to go in the legal framework and change some of those things. That is why, in our case, the central bank and other players thought that, no, don't simply go and start Islamic banking because it will go against the law. Begin with making legal reforms, which was done, all right? 2016, the law was amended to open up for Islamic banking, and the law was actually signed by the president. Regulations to govern the licensing of banks were done. And then at the point where we are supposed now to see investors coming into the banks and then getting the banks licensed to begin operating, then somebody comes up with some technicalities.
So
this is a common thing.
Dr. Kasula, is this system of banking subjected to the same rules and regulations like of other different banks?
No, they can't be the same. Certainly they have to be different because they are working on different platforms. That is why, exactly as I said, you even needed to change the law, financial institutions law, so that you can create opportunity for the alternative model to also be contained within the Islamic system. So, for example, you will find that as an Islamic bank, they will need to have a Sharia board. Other banks don't have to have that. Why do they need a Sharia board? Because the Sharia board has got to look at the compliance issues I am explaining.
That's the contradiction I am talking about, Doctor.
It is not a contradiction.
You seem to be contradicting with the other banks.
No, they don't have to be the same. This is just like saying, Fred, you go to church, Taha, I go to the mosque. It is not a contradiction. It simply says, you are a Christian, I'm a Muslim. We are all Ugandans, but then everybody has got the freedom to go and do what they want when it comes to faith matters. Similarly, in business, it is not a contradiction at all to have two banking models.
But your system seems to be pushing other banking system out.
No.
If I am a bank, doctor, and I am not interested in the interest,
By the way,
and yet banks thrive.
It is not pushing anything. The present conventional banks, they are at liberty, if they want, to actually open Islamic windows. You can have two in one. You can have a conventional on this side for those who want it. You can have the Islamic on this way for those who want it. So there is absolutely no point of this is pushing the other one. It is just a question of exist with everybody, all right? Have the two models available so that the customers can choose. And I don't understand why somebody should feel threatened that a customer will choose the other model.
Because principles of entrepreneurship thrives on making profit, and this is not an interest-making bank. Which alternative? Why would I adopt this system?
If I was the customer, if I am the person who is looking for financing, I am going to look at two models on the market. I'm going to look at a model which asks me for interest, and I'm going to look for a model which says, no, for me I don't want interest. I want to participate with you, and let us now decide. I mean, leave it to the customer. Let the customer enter the bank and say, I want to go to the Islamic side because I'm much more comfortable. By the way, there are two ways of looking at it. There are some people who will choose the Islamic bank because of faith matters, all right? In Islam, it is haram, as we say it, to take interest. So there are people who will choose to go to Islamic model because their religion doesn't allow them to do that.
But that seems to be
that is one. Okay, that is one model. But there are others who will simply choose it because it is the most efficient. It's the most efficient because you ask business people. I don't know, Fred, whether you have done business and whether you have actually been to the bank.
I am, doctor.
You ask people who have been in the banks and they have taken loans with interest. Why do they make a lot of noise all the time? I have had people in Kasita saying, please, government, intervene. We are dying. The banks are taking us. Why do they ask that if they are very comfortable?
Let me also ask the same question to you with figures and statistics. Talk to us about how many people have embraced this system, and you're sure they've benefited.
I have just talked about the technicality. I didn't finish that particular point, that actually Bank of Uganda, which is the regulator and is supposed to be licensing, has not licensed any bank in Uganda in order to start operating on a commercial basis Islamic banking. And why have they done that? Because as I have heard the arguments being thrown around the table, that you see, they cannot license banks because at the central bank level, where they are supposed to have a Sharia advisory council, they don't have experts. In their wisdom, they are saying they don't have experts who can sit on that council. Therefore, they are saying, let the Sharia committees be at the commercial banks, and that's fine. But because they are saying we don't have the necessary expertise in Uganda in order to have people competent to sit on the Sharia Council, so we cannot license the banks. And the last time I heard the Minister of Finance saying we want to go back and make a legal reform in order to remove the Sharia Council. So when you ask the question of application, you can't apply what has not been licensed.
So how do we say it's been a successful system when we don't have the necessity?
No, we can measure success.
We
can measure success on the basis of what has happened elsewhere. And then we say, as a system, in its own framework, it can work.
Why would I
However, here in Uganda, we are not talking about any successes because we have not up to now allowed it to begin working.
Dr. I'm afraid we are running out of time.
All right, yes,
so
I get you.
What would be your parting shots?
Actually, for me, I want to say to the regulatory system in our country, do not block a working model, because this is a working model. These are simple technical issues. You have heard about the law. People can go to the law court and they defeat a case on technicalities. Have you ever heard about that?
I have.
I think in Uganda what is happening today from the regulatory institutions, there is some effort to defeat this particular system on a technical issue, which I think is not a big deal. They should open the Islamic banking system so that we see who are the people that want to use it. Does it make business sense? Fred, if it doesn't work, it will die. This is a competitive world. If it doesn't work in this country, it will die. So rather than block it, you open it. Let us see whether it really is a meaningless system. If it is meaningless, it will die a natural death, and we don't have to bother about it.
Doctor, thank you for allowing to speak to us and being generous, definitely, with the knowledge. And of course, Joram, the coffee quote for today, that is what we've been able to digest. I hope the viewers out there can now discern which type of system to use. My name is Fred Makuya. Coffee quote, Sonko, over to you for business today.
Thank you very much, Fred Makuya. Only if at all you would ask Doctor, if at all you had asked Doctor as well, if at all our commercial banks would have accepted such banking to at least take over in Uganda, non-profitable banking. That is it from the Islamic University in Uganda, Director. All right, now we do take a break. When I return, I have more from Business Today.